Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. We're going to be covering another excerpt here from the novel Dark Lord: The Rise of Darth Vader by James Luceno. And once again, this is now Legends. At the time of this book's release in 2005, this was supposed to connect the story right after Revenge of the Sith, which also came out in 2005. So when George released this book, or rather Lucasfilm released this book, it was intended to be canon beyond the film. So we could call it, an extended universe sort of understanding. However, now, of course, it is very much Legends. So in this video, we're going to discuss what the galaxy actually thought of Vader immediately after Revenge of the Sith. Now, in lots of other Legends material, Vader has been known to be called an enforcer, a cyborg, a machine. Some refer to him as a monster, and others even believe that he was indeed Anakin Skywalker. But they all fell under the same definition of the Emperor's right hand, his enforcer, if you will. So let's begin. Few people were aware of what had become of Anakin Skywalker, but it was not long before nearly everyone in the Galactic Empire had heard some rumor or stray fact about Palpatine's new servant. 1 month after Palpatine became Emperor, a story circulated that Vader had tracked down a nest of 50 Jedi traitors and killed every one of them by himself. Eyewitnesses described him as a wrath-like being who seemed to possess Jedi powers and wielded a lightsaber, but he was definitely not a Jedi. After all, the Jedi may have attempted to overthrow the Republic, but they had never been known to strangle their opponents. So I'm going to cut here just for a second. Now, if you didn't know, in the novel, the Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover, who I had the pleasure of speaking with and interviewing on the channel, Palpatine actually had tricked the entire galaxy to thinking that the Jedi were indeed treasonous and that they came to his office to kill him. So one of the things he did in the book that we didn't see in the movie, of course, is that when the Jedi came in, when Mace Windu, Aegon Kolar, Kit Fisto, and Saesee Tiin came into Palpatine's office on Coruscant, Palpatine actually deactivated all of the video cameras in the room. And then, as he ignited his lightsaber, he was saying things that were completely false, like, "Oh my God, please, someone help me, someone save me," as he looked at them and winked, and then, slaughtered the Jedi. I think this would have been pretty hilarious to see. I think it might have even taken us out of the scene, but it does also portray just how maniacal and treacherous Palpatine actually was. So that's what the book means when it's talking about, after all, the Jedi may have attempted to overthrow the Republic, but they had never been known to strangle their opponents. And also, we should note that, yes, Vader was strangling his opponents, and we don't typically see Jedi do this, except for Luke in Return of the Jedi and Anakin in the Clone Wars. Let's continue. Some suspected Darth Vader was a droid engineered to carry out the Emperor's will. Others suggested that he might have once been a professional gladiator or bounty hunter. There was even speculation that he might be a well-known public figure who had assumed the name Darth Vader and wore his face-concealing helmet to hide his true identity. So the galaxy really did think that Vader was a myriad of different things, and the one I find to be one of the most interesting is a professional bounty hunter or gladiator. Now, the Emperor, of course, did have his bounty hunters, like we saw with Jango Fett. He did hire Boba Fett many times, that is, until he started ruling with respect. But, we're talking about Legends material here. At this point, Boba Fett was still extremely epic and doing lots of work with the Empire. This was 2005. So, Revenge of the Sith is coming out this year. So it kind of makes me wonder, if there was some sort of a Sith out there who became a bounty hunter, how would that work and how cool would that be? We've seen a Jedi bounty hunter, we've seen a Jedi Mandalorian, so to speak, and that of course being Tar Vizsla, but we've never seen a Sith Mandalorian with a red lightsaber. I hope maybe we'll be able to see one day. As for them thinking he's some sort of a droid engineered to carry out the Emperor's will, this is only slightly true, but not in the way that the galaxy actually thought. Sure, Vader was actually engineered to be the Emperor's enforcer. However, he wasn't engineered all that well. If you didn't know, or if you haven't watched my older videos, Palpatine actually gave Vader the worst cybernetics known at that time, like literally super outdated stuff, just to punish him for losing to Obi-Wan, and to also make him overcome all of his issues when it came to relearning his whole body, because that's what he had to do. When Vader became Darth Vader, and this is, only a month after, he had to relearn everything. He had totally new hands. All of his limbs were cybernetics, and so he had to make his lightsaber handle bigger. He had to just learn how to use all the lightsaber forms again, and he had to adopt different different variations because he wasn't able to move the way that he could when he was Anakin Skywalker. And this is something that really limited him when it came to fighting. So his power in the Force had to surpass his ability to fight with a lightsaber, whereas previously it was hand in hand. You know, he was extremely powerful and he was extremely fluid with his weapon. At this point, Vader couldn't lift his arms over his head. He was incapable of actually moving. Now, one of the only people that really knew who Vader was or suspected was Grand Admiral Thrawn and also Moff Tarkin. And this is simply because, you know, Tarkin actually worked with Anakin in the Clone Wars, and Grand Admiral Thrawn is just, well, extremely intelligent. Now, as for how the galaxy perceived Anakin's death, we can go over that in another video, because of course, he couldn't be seen as surviving and becoming Darth Vader. In fact, here, let me just play a clip from an older video so that you can understand what the galaxy thought of Anakin Skywalker's death.
I'm going to now read a passage from the book where Luke is finally hearing the story, which was widely accepted throughout the galaxy. Here we go. Kid, in the Clone Wars, everybody knew him. He was the greatest hero in the galaxy. When he died, it was like the end of the universe. Nick's gut twisted again at the memory. It bloody well was the end of the Republic. Luke stopped. He looked like something hurt. When he died? Nick came to a halt gratefully, bending over with hands on his knees while he tried to catch his breath. The way I heard it, he was the last Jedi standing in the Temple Massacre, when Vader's 501st went in and killed all the Padawans. What? Said Luke. That's where your father was killed, defending children in the Jedi Temple. He was not only the best of the Jedi, he was the last. Nobody ever told you the story? Luke's eyes were closed against some inexpressible pain. That's not the way I heard it.
So, quite different, you know, Anakin actually went in and slaughtered the younglings, whereas, you know, the galaxy saw him as defending the younglings and dying to defend them. Pretty noble death, pretty good way to go out compared to, you know, what he actually did. But, you know, that's also another video I want to touch up on one day again, is that Anakin did those things not because he was purely enjoying it or evil. He hated doing those things, but he did it so that he could unlock certain powers of the dark side by doing terrible and atrocious things. Things the Emperor told him he must do in order to achieve a power that only the dark side could give him. So there we go, we kind of addressed what the galaxy thought of Vader immediately after Revenge of the Sith and all the different things they thought, as well as diving into some lore about Anakin Skywalker and how the galaxy perceived his death. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you thought about it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, remember, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, the Force will be with you always.